riots that you're seeing in Los Angeles, obviously, by now, everybody out there, especially people who listen to this channel, should know that these are government-sponsored events. Human beings are not naturally organizing without the government intervening and stopping it beforehand, unless the government is actually responsible for any of the riots and chaos that occurs. So in other words, if all of us got together and we all talked about doing an actual riot and actually protesting and going somewhere like the White House, before we even arrive, the government would be at our front door, because we know through the NSA and through technology, they're listening and monitoring all of us and tracking all of us. An event like this could not naturally occur unless, of course, the government wanted it to occur. And as you've heard, the National Guard, the Marines have been deployed, and you see the confrontations in the streets between ICE agents and Mexicans, or people who are dressed, obviously hiding who they actually are by design, wearing masks. Pretty much what we saw during the Black Lives Matters movement, which was clearly another government operation, which they even eventually exposed that it was a government operation. And still people think that these things are naturally occurring. And now, since these things have started, these riots have started in LA, what we're hearing about is, what powers does Trump have to send troops to cities even if they don't want them? Because if you haven't seen, there's a map out there where there's planned events to occur on June 14th. So you're telling me that this map that is out there, that somebody, where did the government and the media get this map? This is one gigantic organization that they're telling us has been communicating, pinpointing locations, and now they're showing us where all of these false flag events are going to occur on June 14th. And they were able to figure out exactly what locations and eventually who are going to be the attendees at these locations, because this is all about Palantir, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. But look at this map. This is out there. This is being released by CNN. This is being released by NBC, ABC. Protesters are taking to the streets and community hubs nationwide on June 14th in what organizers expect will be the largest single-day anti-President Trump rally since the start of the administration. The widespread movement will run counter to Trump's multi-million-dollar military parade in D.C. Wow, what a coincidence that Trump's throwing a military parade in D.C., which has false flag written all over it. If you haven't seen, there's tanks that are heading into D.C. on June the 14th. And at the same time, these protesters decided, we're all going to organize. We're all going to say we're going to these events, these places. We're going to cause this type of chaos. We're going to burn buildings. We're going to burn cars on fire. And somehow the government hasn't intervened to stop it from occurring. What a coincidence, right? Wouldn't you think if the government had this knowledge that they would intervene and stop it from actually happening? If they're showing us this map and they're telling us that these are where the events are going to occur, wouldn't these people be arrested ahead of time? The government has the ability to track and monitor all of this stuff. These people aren't organizing offline. And even if they are offline and they're meeting somewhere, they likely have phones in their pockets, so they're likely being listened to. If the government didn't want it to happen, the government would stop it from happening. And they go on to say, No Kings is what the name of this is. It's a nationwide day of defiance. From city blocks to small towns, from courthouse steps to community parks, we're taking action to reject authoritarianism. And of course, the we that's being referenced are obviously paid government officials. This is Black Ops, this is CIA, this is all your government agencies working together. And then what eventually happens is they organize these events, and monkey see, monkey do occurs, because there are real civilians who partake in these events because they see it happening on TV. Then they get motivated to join and find one, and that's what the government wants. And of course, you'll be detained and arrested and considered a terrorist in the United States of America. Even some of the stuff that we've seen, which is so fake and hilarious, like the Waymo cars that were lit on fire. That's one of the more popular videos going around, where you can see the Waymo cars just completely burning in the streets. And the funniest part of all is that it didn't take much for them to light those things on fire, since they're electric vehicles. All they probably did was go over there and dump a gallon of water on the engine, and the thing probably caught fire, because that's what electric vehicles do. But on top of all these things, we need to talk about Palantir. And I talked about Palantir and the kill chain. If you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend you check it out. This is what we need to focus on now, because the alt-right media, these people who are pretending to be conservatives, who are pretending and obviously using mind control to create racial tension and racial division, all of this stuff you hear about illegals, this is all being manufactured by the alt-right media. It's causing racial division. The government's creating false flags and psyops around the country every single day. We hear stories about a young white girl who was on a college campus, who was attacked and killed by an illegal immigrant. Every crime that you're hearing about nationally is all, again, getting linked to, oh, he was an illegal, kind of like the Molotov cocktail psyop. We just heard they threw in at the end that he was an illegal immigrant. This is all about Palantir and bringing in a digital ID. And I want to bring attention to what this is. This is military-grade surveillance tools to use on the domestic population.